everybody, it's Chris from the Evermore podcast, Newcastle United podcast, and the Evermore YouTube channel. Back from the Rumour Has It video, we're talking about players linked to the club this summer, and we've had an absolute belter of a link here, to be honest with you. 3 players from one club that could be in some real trouble financially. So we're going to get stuck into this in a minute. We've got 3 players to look at. Mark's done a great job on the stats slides as well, and they do make very good reading. So just before we do a little bit of housekeeping, if you haven't already, please click that like and subscribe button. We're over 1,380 subscribers now. Massive thank you to everyone who's done that. We'd love to get about 1,500 before the season starts if we could, so we're not too far away. Keep smashing the button, hit the notification bell as well, and you'll never miss any of our videos, whether it be the Rumour Has It ones like this or the live ones that we do every week on Mondays and Wednesdays. So listen, let's get stuck right into this. So there's been some news doing the rounds. It's on social media. It's been picked up by a couple of the newspapers. The Telegraph's picked it up, and the Evening Chronicle, Newcastle's own local newspaper as well. The Leicester City might be in a bit of financial difficulties. Telegraph was reporting that they may have to sell some of their key assets to balance out financial fair play. You probably noticed that Leicester haven't really done anything in the transfer window yet, which is very unlike them. They're normally quite good. They're normally proactive. They scout very well. They purchase very well. They sign players at very reasonable fees and build them up to being really good players, where they can sell them for huge fees, like they did with Mahrez and Kante in the past. Brendan Rodgers is a very good manager. I rate him very highly. He's got the best out of the players that he has. He obviously wants to change the squad. He wants to bring in players. Jamie Vardy isn't getting any younger. Kasper Schmeichel isn't getting any younger. Fofana got injured last season. He was very threadbare at the back, so he is really frustrated as well. Obviously we're not going to look for him as a manager. He had his chance, so to speak, and Eddie Howe is now the man. I think Eddie Howe will be the man for the foreseeable future. But we're talking about the players here, and Leicester do have some really good players, some of the best players in the league at their disposal. So we're going to get stuck right into this and cover 3 players. So the first player I'm going to come to is James Maddison. Now, whatever you think about James Maddison, a lot of people think he's got this party boy, selling shots, Falaraki type banter about him. Him and Jack Grealish aren't too dissimilar in that way. Very talented footballers, but do have this tendency to sometimes come across as a bit of a bell. But James Maddison is a brilliant footballer. There's no doubt about that. And he has been consistently for the last few seasons. He's been linked to loads of clubs. He's been linked to Manchester United, linked to Arsenal over the years. The Arsenal links were very strong at one point. We all thought he was going to go there. I think he's an Arsenal fan, as memory serves. But look, he's a phenomenal footballer. He's 25 years old. He's at the peak of his powers. He should have had way more England recognition than he's already has. He's only got 1 cap, which is criminal, really. I think this persona of him being a party animal goes against him in Southgate's eyes, which is a real shame. He seems to be either Grealish or Maddison, not both, which is a bit mental. And I know a lot of the England fans are disappointed to see this lad not get a game. You can see last season, 35 appearances, 12 goals, 8 assists. He's at the top of his game, really. If you look at his key stats, key passing, finishes, crossing, he's not very good in the air, but it's not really what you want from a player like that. But you can see his greens, he's got 0.43 goals a game. He's in the 87th percentile. His assists, 0.33 a game, 88th percentile. His passing attempts, his key passes, he's dispossessed very little. He really good close control on the ball, dribbles very well. He's in the 95th percentile. Mark's compared him next to St. Maximin there on the radar grid, and you can just see it's like a scene out of Independence Day. Maddison, totally eclipses Maxi in every possible area. If we were going to sign this player, there's been links about Maxi leaving to potentially Chelsea or Spurs. I like Maxi, but he is a bit of a headache, I think, as a player, possibly for Eddie Howe. But if you were to sell Maxi and sign Maddison as his replacement, that is one of the best bits of business this club has ever done, in my opinion. Maddison's consistent. He's a goal threat. He creates a lot more. He's more reliable. He's more kind of a big game player than Maxi. For me, all day long, Maddison. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to have both of them in the squad. But if it was Maxi or Maddison, for me, it's Maddison all day long. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. You can see from the heat map as well with Maddison, he's all over the pitch. He's all action. Forget about the persona. Forget about the party boy. Rhetoric that people use about this lad. He's a phenomenal footballer, and he would create loads of goals for Callum Wilson, and he would score goals for us as well. For me, this is a no-brainer. A great bit of business this would be if the club could get this over the line, and potentially could get him for a lesser figure than what Leicester would really want to take from if they're in trouble financially. So that's one player down. We're sticking with Leicester. This is called the Fox Hunt. We've got another 2 players to cover. The next one, again, is another brilliant footballer, Harvey Barnes. Again, 1 cap for England. Young midfielder, 24 years old, one of their own. Last season, 32 appearances, 6 goals, 10 assists. kind of hugs that left-hand side quite a lot. Very, very good footballer. Right-footed though as well. So he'd give you good balance on that side. He can play as part of an attacking three. He can play in midfield. He could slip in next to Bruno and Joe Linton. His tackling isn't great. His defensive contribution isn't the best. And his crossing isn't great, but I think he's a great ball player in terms of his retention. He's got a great vision. He can hit some killer passes through. His assists are unbelievable. As you can see there, 0.45 a game. He's in the 97th percentile for that. And he's a very, very talented footballer. Again, Marcus compared him to St. Maximin, in kind of an attacking berth there. You can see from a goals point of view and an assist point of view, he eclipses Maxi, get my teeth in. And I think a harder working player as well, just covers more ground. Very, very exciting player for me. Brendan Rodgers got a lot out of him, I think, since he's broke through into the side. And he would caught a lot of attention. And what I'd like to see from the club is ambition. I'd like to see them move for these players a lot quicker than anybody else can. A lot of the other bigger 6 teams with a lot more money than the rest of the teams in the league have already made their signings. So we could potentially catch this at the right time, where we could think, what, we could smack a couple of bids in for likes of Maddison and Barnes, get them in black and white, and still be okay in the financial fair play side of it because of the thriftiness of Ashley over the years, as we've already said a few times. So I'd be very excited if we sign this player. I think he's a phenomenal footballer. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below as well. I'm sure most of the boys in the Evermore squad would agree with me that Harvey Barnes is a great footballer. And if you could get him in black and white, it would be absolutely incredible. So they're the 2 players in the main that have been linked in the Chronicles piece. The other player that they touched upon was Iheanacho. Sorry, I beg your pardon, not Iheanacho, it was Tieleman. I'm going to cover Iheanacho in a second. So Yari Tieleman, we've already done a video on him. We know what a great player he is. I was extremely excited when I did the Rumour video about Tieleman, which many people pointed out in the comments. But again, he's a phenomenal footballer. The fee they were talking about for him was 35 to 40 million. I think the fee for Barnes would probably be around about 30 million. Maddison's potentially 40, 50 million. If we can get those players for those figures, for me, it massively improve the squad. There's no doubt about that. I would take all 3 of them every day of the week and twice on Sundays. So this is definitely one we need to keep an eye on. I think if Newcastle and Dan Ashworth, have got their act together, they could really pounce on these players and get it and steal a march on everybody else. So yeah, this is exciting. It really is. And I really hope there's some truth in these links. But the last player we're going to cover, he's not in the piece by the Chronicle. He is in the piece by the Telegraph as a sellable asset. Now, for me, again, we're desperate for a striker. We need a striker. And they have got Kelechi Iheanacho, who obviously came through the Manchester City Youth Academy. Very good player, good finisher, great at shooting from distance, a good passer. He's not hit as many goals maybe last season as you would have liked. In 43 appearances, he's only got 8 goals. So his goal-to-game ratio isn't great. It's in the red there, as you can see. He's a lot lower than Callum Wilson, for example. Callum obviously is a goal scorer, pure goal scorer. But if you look at Iheanacho's assists and you look at his kind of his passing and his passing contribution, his key passes, he could be more than just a centre forward. I think he could play in a front 3 alongside potentially Maxi or instead of a Maxi. If Wilson's injured or even rested, Iheanacho could come in, fill that position as a centre forward. We know he can score goals. We know he's got great movement. He went through a nice pit patch last season of just couldn't miss at one point, and there were great finishes as well. He's a very, very talented footballer, and he's only 25 years old as well. He's on the right side of the tracks, really, in terms of his peak years ahead of him. So again, that's another footballer. Again, what would Iheanacho cost you? Potentially, depending on the contract length, he could cost you potentially about 35 million quid as well. We're willing to pay 30 million for Ekitike, who, yes, I know maybe one day will be a better player. We don't know that, but he's a younger player and he has a higher ceiling. We've been linked to a lot of young players who don't mind being on the bench by the looks of it or learning from someone like Callum Wilson. I think Iheanacho could give you a lot of flexibility in positions across that front 3, and he could slip in as a centre forward. So for me, again, this is a brilliant idea. A bit of business with this one. I hope he does get linked, and I hope he's somebody that we're looking at. And if Leicester do need to sell, we've got the money to buy, then why the hell not? Let's show some ambition and let's get a bit in for these players. But as I mentioned at the start, let us know what you guys think in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. I could imagine, knowing the comments we get off most of you guys, especially the regular viewers, that you'll all be in favour of these 3 players, or most of you will be. I think all three of them improved Newcastle United exponentially. There's no doubt about that. And as I mentioned, normally we wouldn't have a hope in hell of getting these players at the stage of this evolutionary takeover we're at. But, money talks and bullshit walks. And if Leicester are in trouble and we've got the money, then why the hell not? Let's go for it. Let's put a bid in for these players. And I really hope, in the next couple of weeks, we start seeing some activity and seeing some bids going for these players, and we steal a march on the greedy six, because these three would potentially take us from 11th, 10th place to 7th, 6th place in the league. I've got no doubt about that in my mind. So as I mentioned at the start, if you haven't already, please click that like and subscribe button if you like the video and you like what we do. We'd love to have you on board. We're about 1,380 subscribers. We'd love to get to 1,500 before the season kicks off. It's only a few weeks away. And keep it evermore. We've got loads of new content coming. Me and Mark will be back on Monday with another What's Going On. And then Wednesday, we'll be back with the boys for an Evermore podcast where we'll be covering some key topics as well, what's been going on with all things Newcastle United. So until then, this is Chris signing off. Let's keep supporting that team of Core United. We'll be back with another video soon. Catch you later. Cheers.